This is the iPhone 15 Pro. In today's real day in life review, we're going to be trying out the new 48 megapixel camera. Does it actually make a difference? Trying out the other 7 lenses, putting all the new iOS 17 features to the test, and tracking the battery life throughout the day. It's currently 10:56 a.m. The phone is at 77%, and it is my all-time favorite weather in New York, just an absolute downpour. The day starts now. The iPhone 15 Pro also has water resistance again this year, which is perfect for a scenario like this because I can keep my phone open with navigation and not worry about it getting wet. This is the first of many iPhone 15 Pro camera video tests. This is like an indoor environment. Picking up some lens wipes for the camera because it's raining so much out. And this leads us into the first hardware difference on this phone, which is that some of the lenses have been updated. We're going to go to Appear to test that. So the action button is one of 3 hardware updates that I think is actually worth knowing, and it's this button on the side. So by default, it acts as your mute lock button when you press and hold it, but then you can actually go into the settings and change it. So if you go to action button, you have a lot of different mode options. You can have it affect the focus mode. So for example, now when I press it, it can turn on and off do not disturb, or I can have it turn on and off work mode. You can also set it to quick open up the camera. So hold to open it, and then it can also act as the camera shutter button, which is sick. There's also a shortcut feature, so this is how you would customize it to have a lot more features. Like for example, I saw someone on Twitter set it up to unlock their door, which I think is sick. The downside that I foresee here is once you set it up to be a certain action, the only way to get back to the silent or not silent is through the control center. The second new feature with the hardware is the fact that the rails are now titanium, which has made this phone about 50 grams lighter than the 14 Pro, which is a very significant change in terms of how heavy it feels in the pocket. Makes it a lot easier to hold for extended periods of time. And the third update is USB Type-C, which we'll talk about right after we pay for these lens wipes. So USB Type-C is a feature that has been on Android phones for a few years. This is the first year that we're seeing it on iPhones. It's actually pretty significant. Apple is kind of forced to do this because of the new EU regulation that says that there needs to be a charger that isn't proprietary to a specific brand. It's a big deal because it actually adds some new features to the phone. The first one being faster USB 3.0, but with the inbox cable, you will not get that flexibility. The other big thing that it provides is faster transfer speeds, which is actually important with the new video footage. Oh my gosh. And the faster charging is actually pretty important because I feel like the battery life on this phone is rough. We're gonna keep seeing as the day continues, but right now it's 12:25 and the phone is already at 53%. And this is with like being a heavy user of navigation, cameras, file transfers, etc. But that's how I normally use my phone. So it'd be ideal if the battery is better. We'll keep seeing how that plays out. The USB-C also enables like a cross-platform ecosystem where if you have a MacBook and the iPad, you now only need one cable for it, which is really nice. The other big hardware updates are to the camera. So we're gonna head to the Pier right now so I can show you some of the features. Chelsea Market, 5.8x zoom. Wow, it's really raining. Made it to Chelsea Market. This is one of my all-time favorite spots in New York City because there's so much going on. And actually the YouTube headquarters is based here, which is really interesting because I just hosted a party with YouTube yesterday. It was their first ever creator-hosted collective, and I actually showed a ton of people at the event the iPhone. We're looking at a new feature called Name Drop, which is mind-blowing. So let me show you what it is, and then I'll explain why I think it's important.
Yeah, I got you, man.
That's actually wild. That really works well. It makes it much easier to share your contact info with someone, and you can actually create your contact page in the Contact app on the phone. Not only can you customize how it shows up for people on the Name Drop side, but you can also customize what shows up for people when you call them. You can type things, change the color, and I love that. It's just a little element of customization that the phone has. I feel like a lot of the stuff that makes the iPhone is software and the ecosystem, and that is going to be available on earlier iPhones as well, but with the 15 Pro, you're going to get the fastest version of this because there's the new chip inside. It's 1:50 p.m. and the phone is at 20%. I've been uploading a lot of stuff to social media and replying to comments, and it's definitely taking a pretty big hit on the battery, and the phone also feels a little bit warm. I thought this is a perfect time while we stop for lunch to talk about some new iOS 17 features that I actually think are going to impact your day-to-day life. So one of the new features that I use literally all the time is voice memo transcription. So I love to send people voice memos when I'm on the go, but it can be highly inconvenient for them when they get them if they're not in an area where they can listen or if they want to just parse information quickly. So this now has live transcription, which Google has had for a while, but it's nice to see on iOS. And another thing that I think is worth knowing is that the display is brighter this year and the bezels are thinner. So the max brightness is now 2000 nits, which really helps with outdoor visibility on a sunny day. And the thinner bezels helps in any environment to make the phone look more premium and to also make it feel a little bit more compact in the hand, which I really like. Leaving Chelsea Market, it is 2:04 p.m. Wow, it looks like the rain kind of subsided. This street in New York is iconic. A lot of people take a photo with this bridge. I'm gonna try to take one right now on the 15 Pro. We'll see how it does. Probably got to stand more in the middle of the street. This is also a cool test of the color tone on the new camera because this is a very bright green. And I feel like a lot of times cameras struggle with green. And then the maximum 15x. And it has a little viewfinder now where you can see which part of the image you're looking at, which other Android phones have had. This is the first time that we're getting it on the iPhone. I'm gonna try to get this shot right now. Ooh, that actually looks really good. Also good test of portrait mode here. Let's see if it's able to pick up on anything. So I take the shot, and then what's cool with the portrait mode this year is that it's taking in more depth data because of the sensors and the new chip. So I can actually in post, pick where I want the focal point of the portrait mode to be. Obviously, because there's not a lot in the foreground and background, this is not an amazing example of portrait mode, but it's cool that it was able to do something considering that. It's 2:29 p.m. and the phone is already at 5%. I'm gonna show you some of the new camera features in action, which is why we came to this place. So let's do it. The cameras have updated coatings on them, which really comes alive during night mode. So I'll show you that when it gets darker out. But for now, I wanna show the main sensor because it's a 48 megapixel sensor, but Apple's marketing this as 7 lenses, because when you go to the camera app, you have the normal 0.5, which is your ultra wide, then the 1x at 24 millimeters, and then if you tap it again, it goes to 28 millimeters, and then it goes all the way to 35. And that's all on the main sensor here. Then you have a 2x, a 3x, which is the optical maximum on the regular 15 Pro, and then digitally you can go all the way to 15x, which we'll try out on the top of this building. And what's really nice here is you can see a display of what's actually happening. I still think that the 15 times X is significantly worse than like an S23 Ultra or some other phones that have the optical zoom capability. 3x looks really great. 5x on the Pro Max is really nice as well. I think that what iPhone really sets itself apart with is excellent video. Like a lot of the shots in this video have been shot on the iPhone, and I think it's very passable. And that's because of their image processing and their color tone and their color consistency among the lenses, which I think is an underrated feature. A lot of phones on the Android side can beat the iPhone 15 Pro in terms of zoom quality with their lenses, but they cannot beat the iPhone 15 Pro in terms of color tone with their lenses. On this phone, when you switch between the lenses, it just feels so fluid. Like you can't even really tell that you're switching the camera in terms of color tone. Right now it's a little bit jumpy because the screen is wet, but that is really impressive, especially when you're in a video. Like we start on the 0.5 and we just casually go through. It feels really good. And the lenses are actually physically not near each other, right? So in order to compensate for that, on the software side, Apple needs to find the intersection of where the wide meets the telephoto and then use that to make the zoom fluid, which is fascinating and another example of technology being invisible. Going to leave Little Island now and wait to test out some night photography. Also, we gotta juice up the phone because battery life is super disappointing. It's at like 4% and it's 2:40 p.m. The one upside is that I'm definitely like a very heavy user, and on more moderate light days, I think it will last more of the day. I've been doing social media, uploading videos, voice memo, calling people, FaceTiming, everything. And so if you're a user like me, like a power user, then I think you should expect that you're gonna have to juice up your phone midday. Luckily with USB Type-C, you have slightly faster charging. But if you're a more moderate user, it should hopefully last you until the end of the day. We're gonna get out of the rain for a little bit and go take some night photos once it gets dark. This is the nighttime photography. It's 9:21 p.m. and we're about to talk about what this looks like and also if it matters and 3 takeaways of the phone. The night photos look really great to me. The new coating on the lenses is making it slightly less likely to get the lens blurring that we've had in the past. It was also a rainy night out, so some of that was still happening. And the other 3 things that I'm taking away from this real day in life review that I think are worth knowing to decide if you should buy it or not is number 1, Video on the iPhone is just so incredible. The competition is not even close. It just looks so much more professional. The colors are better, the stabilization is better, the focus feels more natural. It's just a really excellent video camera. Number 2, on the opposite side of the spectrum, battery life really leaves a lot to be desired. I feel like the fact that I was able to kill this phone so quickly early in the day is not ideal. I would love to see battery life further improved in either better optimization with the software or a bigger battery in the future. And number 3, iOS 17 is awesome. All the features that they added this year are quality of life improvements that genuinely make the day-to-day real life with this phone significantly better. I love name drop, voice isolation, voice memo transcription. The overall ecosystem built around having an iPhone and then having it plug into iOS 17 and other Apple products is genuinely great, and I think it's a big reason why people are going to keep buying iPhones. So I would say if you're looking to upgrade your phone, this is a great purchase. If you have the 14 Pro, I don't think it's a necessary one at all, but if you're coming from an earlier version, I think you'll really appreciate the new camera tech, USB Type-C, the new build, the display, and the performance. So now the question is, should you buy a smartwatch to pair with your phone? And if you want to hear the answer, you can click right here or check out another day in life right here. I'll see you in one of those videos.